Welcome back to your £0 to £150,000 resources document. And I'm here running through the strategy that we used at On the Mend during our successful crowdfunding campaign on Cedars, where we raised more than £250,000. Now, the first thing I want to highlight here is that this covers a period of a total of 18 weeks. So what you really want to do is allow for around 3 months of main activity and about a month to allow for the funds to be received, with a couple of weeks or so at the start for warming up. And this planner doesn't assume that you've already chosen your crowdfunding platform at the start. You can start to spend the first couple of weeks researching what activity is happening on other platforms to inform your choice of where it is best for you to list your campaign. And in fact, it's best for you not to mention any specific crowdfunding platform in your initial discussions with investors, as this will still need to be approved by the platform itself. So looking across the key components of the timeline, campaign tracking is one thing that you should continually be doing. Email marketing is another. Getting your deck right for the audience that you're targeting, which may be slightly tweaked based on the feedback that you'll be getting. Using social media, and then preparing and running the campaign. So if we were to first jump into the campaign tracker, you should really start by going onto some of these platforms listed here. Have a look through however many you want to. You don't need to do all of them, but I would recommend as much as possible. Check out what's been listed in your space that's comparable to you and get a sense of what's going on in the market. It's important, based on the details that you can gather, based on the target amounts, the valuation, the sector, the country, how much they've raised. You can update as you go through the number of investors, whether they've overfunded, when and how long it took, so that you're getting a feel around the general activity of the different types of crowds. Now, you may have seen some campaigns before, but this will give you a more systematic approach to learn about the current state of the market and to make sure that you hit the spot when you go live. So this is something that you should be continually doing throughout the campaign, just until you go live, as it will help to inform things about how long you should keep the campaign going. Now, in email marketing, you may have already started warming up some of these investors, but you really need to focus on building up interest among your lead investors, who, if you were to add up 10 or 20 individual commitments, would really be a significant amount of your total funding target. And once you've had sufficiently large commitments from your lead investors, you should really start to widen your email marketing. And this is where you should be using the ideas I've listed here in terms of your email outreach, and beyond that, in terms of the crowd database tab. And in this tab, you will see a number of columns that are intended to represent each of your individual team members, who should all be trying to enter into these columns people who think they are possible candidates to reach out to as people who they could turn into investors. And this is how you really start to build your crowd. And as it's duplicated across, I'll just look at one of the columns, and just to give you an idea, each of the sections is as large as the number of contacts that I populated during my own campaign, which gives you a sense of how many people I reached out to. So you should first name a group, in this case a personal group, who I currently know, and then family. So these are all people in my family who I will then send my deck for feedback. Importantly, it's not to ask them to invest, it's to ask them for feedback, because you're really trying to make sure that the deck is as easy to understand by anyone in your family and beyond. I mean, at the same time, they could turn into investors, with £10 being enough, as this adds an investor to your list, and the number of investors can be just as important as the total investment that you are raising. But you also can't rule out friends and family, having contacts across the finance industry or professional investors they may also want to share the deck with, and this opens up to anyone that they might know, as anyone can invest in a crowdfunding campaign. So you should never disqualify anyone from giving you feedback on the deck, and that goes for family, friends. It also goes for, on your business side, your current investors, your colleagues, as well as professional networks, and so on. And these are just the current contacts that you have. You also have, if I go further down, as well, you have your past contacts. And beyond all of these, you can find individuals that you know and have contact with. You also can have contacts from very large databases, and we will get into that a little bit later on in the course. So this database building exercise is really the beginning of your campaign. So once you've built the database, you need to start extending your email marketing campaign and gradually warming up your crowd, getting feedback on the deck, and then starting to set a timeline for when you plan to start getting early commitments. So as you start to have email engagement with your crowd, you're going to have to start to track this, and this is where the crowd tracker comes in. So learning to use this spreadsheet is really going to help you avoid the process from becoming completely chaotic. So at the top, this is broken into groups with each of the grey areas representing an individual team member, and each line is a group. So we've got friends, we've also got family, friends, and current investors, etc., of one of your individual team members. And on the right hand side, there's a colourful column which identifies what stage each group is at in terms of your email marketing, both before and also when the campaign is live. And if we were just to look at an example, we have in the family group 10 contacts, 9 of whom have yet to confirm an investment. We're putting a 50-50 chance that any individual within that group will be investing. We have a possible investment size of £10 for each individual. So if we were to look at the probability of that 9 person group at 50% at £10 per person, then we would expect a £45 investment from that group. Now, if we go down beyond the groups, there is a section for individuals from within each of those groups where you can start to organise all of those commitments. So if one of that family member has guaranteed 100% that they will invest £10, then on a probability basis, we can say that there is £10 of commitments. We also have some details around that investor, as well as the level of warm-up they are according to your email marketing. And we can also track that pre-launch as well as live. And by doing this, both pre-launch and live, if we were to go to the very top on the right-hand side, we're going to see relative to your target fundraising and also your overfunding target, how far you are in terms of commitments, both from the groups and individuals, as well as from the individuals themselves, before and while the campaign is live. So you are able to track the progress of the campaign in this crowd tracker section of the organizer. Now, just as important as email marketing is social media activity, and we can see here how our campaign was managed on Airtable, where you really want to see how we posted not just about crowdfunding. So we try to vary the content as much as possible. And we've already discussed a little bit of this in the social media part of the fundraising toolkit. And if we just look a little bit further along, we can see some of the components of this social media outreach, including some of the content we posted during the campaign on how far the campaign is progressing. In your profile, you also want to identify that you are running a campaign. Try to focus as much energy around this while it's live or going through pre-registration. And you're trying to really warm up the crowd with as much buzz as you can through your posts and images as much as possible. And for those investors who may have pre-registered or just shown interest but not yet committed, you can have a webinar, as I did, to try and encourage this commitment by answering any questions that people may have. And if we move a little bit further along, while you are live, you want to try and keep people conscious of the timeline of how long you are going to be live, as well as I mentioned, highlighting the key milestones that you are hitting. You will be producing a polished campaign video, and you will be able to break that into sections which you can also use to post on your social channels. You also want to try and encourage as much of the promotion of your team. You can use podcasts, you can do profile interviews, there's also press releases as well. So really try to be as active on social media as you can throughout the campaign to try to engage your audience, show them how you're progressing, and obviously at the end you want to give a big thank you to everyone who helped you. And as I mentioned as well, the last part of this process will take about a month to process the paperwork, by which time you will have received your funds. So I want you just to take a look through everything we've covered here, see how this could work for you and whether it will help you to start getting going on a crowdfunding campaign and I look forward to seeing you in the next video.